almost every stage, there are representatives of both of the major parties watching everything that goes on. So for instance, the parties are represented when the logic and accuracy testing is done on all the different machines. They're present when the votes are cast. They're present when there are canvasses. We have representatives of both parties on this board. So I think that's the strongest check. There are actually paper ballots marked and cast, and those are there. The machines tally those. I'll refer to the general registrar and his staff.
Before you do, one of the things, which is an interesting process, which the General Assembly passed a couple of years ago, and last year was the first year, maybe we did it, yeah, last year was the first year, is a risk limiting audit that is done, it was done statewide, I believe, last year, I've kind of forgotten. And then some jurisdictions are required, the law requires a certain amount of the state to be done every year. The law just changed and I've forgotten precisely what that is, but a risk limiting audit is required, and the law changed for this year so that it will be required prior to the state certifying the election. Which is another thing under my speech. The election isn't over on election night. It will be a long time after that by the time we get some of this done. But there will be a risk limiting audit after the election, but before the state certifies it.
Okay, thank you. I just want to mention that, as you know, a lot of these risk limiting audits and various other features seem to still rely on machine output, and I think ultimately a lot of people tend to trust, I don't know, they call it a full hand recount or whatever it is, where you actually have people counting paper ballots, where it's very difficult to have mistakes and machine related manipulation. So my follow-up question is regarding the voting machine companies, the service providers. Are there workers present in the county election process during the election itself, and what role do they play? Because it seems to be that oftentimes they have the expertise, and they oftentimes play a key role in the processing of the actual election. What happens in Fairfax County?
In Fairfax County, and where did you go? There is probably most of the time on site for repair services if it breaks down, somebody from the machine companies. But unlike most other jurisdictions, we do all our testing and programming ourselves to be sure that we are the ones that do it. The company does not do it. We don't send any of our data off to the company and have the company do it. Let me put it that way.
Okay, thank you very much.
David Lopez.
Yeah, and again, please remember, this is public comment section of the agenda. You can make a comment. If you have a long series of questions, you might get less than sympathetic reception. So go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. I just wondered if you could, it's David Lopez. I'm an election officer in Fairfax County. And I just wondered if you have any feedback from the request I made in a previous meeting to work with Elect and get permission to use the responses from citizens to jury duty summons to update the voter rolls.
It's in the memo. I forget the exact date, but we did send a memo to the Department of Elections with that and various other voter list issues. I've not gotten a response yet, but they assured us that they were going to consider all matters thoroughly, including the jury questionnaire issue, and respond to all of that. So I haven't heard anything.
But just remind me, please, I think as it stands now, we are not getting information from jury questions.
Correct.
So at present, we do not get that information.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And the other question was, I agree with your comment, I think, about the same-day voter registration. When someone gives an application for same-day registration and does not present and only provides a statement of what their residence is it really possible to verify that they are a legitimate resident and should vote?
That's covered by the Department of Elections.
It's
Well, I
against
think,
the
I
law.
think the same feature or problem, I would say, applies to normal registration, right?
Right.
That's
I-
the situation. Okay,
Okay.
thank you
I
very
got
much.
it. It's the law, yes, sir. And I just, one other comment, sir. I was an election officer last year and I registered gave my availability to the election office to serve as a chief for a Republican Party. But haven't heard back and I've heard the comments earlier. Does that mean that you've already selected who the chiefs are and who the backups are and I wasn't considered, or?
I know that there are more people applying for these positions than there are positions available. I think it's up to the staff to do their best to choose the ones that they think fit best. Registrar, have any comment on that?
That's it, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment. We'll move on to the next comment.
The next is John Keane.
Mr. Keene.
There he is.
Okay, can you hear me? Yes, regarding to the questions about the computers and the alleged cybersecurity issues, I'm a cybersecurity specialist. I attended a luncheon today with the director of CISA, and if anyone asks or raises these questions, I recommend they go to Google, CISA, and find the truth. Save you a lot of time. Okay, CISA has an active, aggressive program to ensure the cybersecurity of our elections, and most of the claims that there are issues or flaws with the election process are blatantly incorrect.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Anyone,
Sorry, Chris, could I interject real quick, just for people that want, CISA is C-I-S-A, if they want to look it up.
what did
That's
you say?
correct.
Cybersecurity infrastructure, cyber infrastructure security administration, I believe,
Agency,
agency.
yes. And I would suggest that you type in CISA election security, CISA election security, and you'll get all the answers to those questions.
Thank you very much. Any others? Well then,
Second?
motion to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Oh, I
Very
can.
much.
I'm not a voter. Fastest car in the meeting.
Hands up there, so. No, there weren't any more. There weren't any.
They weren't.
That is like thought.
Started at